Good morning, Kasturians, to this video of chapter Constitutional Design from Civics. So let's start. In the previous video, we have seen why we need a constitution, what are the functions performed by a constitution, and how the Indian constitution was made, and how the leaders they took these ideas from different constitutions of other countries and from the ideology from different social customs which were prevailing, and then finally the constitution was drafted. In today's video we will discuss about the Constituent Assembly and the basic structural design of our Indian constitution. So let's start. The Constituent Assembly was an assembly of elected representatives which were elected in the provincial elections held in July 1946. In the beginning, it was having 389 member representatives, and this Constituent Assembly was set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. In these 389 members, 292 members were the members who were representing the provinces of India during those times. 93 were the representatives of the states, the chief commissioner provinces, that is 3 members, and the Balochistan member, that is 1. So this assembly it held its first meeting on 6th of December 1946, and in that meeting Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the chairperson. After that, the country was divided into India and Pakistan, and the Constituent Assembly was also divided into the Indian Constituent Assembly and that of Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Constitution of India was having only 299 members, and the constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949, but it became effective on 26th of January 1950. That's why we celebrate this 26th of January as our Republic Day. Now the question comes that the constitution was written some 70 years ago, but why we since then the society has undergone various changes, still the constitution stands as the universal document which is equally acceptable and applicable over all Indians. Why is this so? What are the reasons that we are accepting the constitution made by the Constituent Assembly more than 70 years? There are some basic principles that were used at the time when the constitution was made. First, the Constituent Assembly was not reflecting any one section or any one person of society. It was actually representing the people of India. At that time when the elections for this Constituent Assembly were held, there was no such universal adult franchise, and the Constituent Assembly they could not have been chosen directly by all people of India, but the members of those times existing provincial councils or legislatures, they elected the members of the Constituent Assembly, but the members they were belonging to different class, different social groups, different language groups, different caste, and the members they were chosen in a manner that they represent a fair geographical share of the entire India. That's why whatever provisions are mentioned in the constitution, they are equally acceptable by all. Secondly, the constitution it does not reflect the views of its members alone. It expresses a broad consensus of its time. We have seen so many countries they have reframed their constitution because the provisions of the constitution, they were not acceptable by majority of their populations. But in India, this is one of the remarkable feature of our constitution, that this constitution, which was written some 70 years ago, is still unquestionable, and no one has raised a serious concern or question mark on this constitution or legal aspects of this constitution. So the two reasons we have already discussed, and the third reason was the manner in which the Constituent Assembly it worked and it drafted. It gives sanctity to the constitution, and it stands not as a piece of paper but as a solid written document in the Indian polity. The Constituent Assembly it adopted a systematic, open and consensual manner. The basic provisions or principles, first they were written and they were decided, then they were agreed upon by means of continuous and long debates, and a series of ifs and buts combined with these debates created what we have as our constitution. After the finalization of these provisions with all the ifs and buts and do's and don'ts, the provisions were finally drafted by the drafting committee, who was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and that is why we all respect our constitution and it is still unquestionable. Now we will see the guiding values of the Indian Constitution, and according to this, the Indian Constitution is considered not as a piece of paper but a living document. Why? See, the members of Constituent Assembly, when they were drafting the constitution, they felt that the constitution it should be in accordance with people's aspiration and their changes in the society. They didn't wanted that the constitution should be seen as a sacred, statistical and unalterable law. Whatever is written in those times was equally important and applicable in that society, but since the society is dynamic, it keeps on changing, therefore the present laws or the present provisions, they need to be changed or altered from time to time. And for this, the provisions to change the constitution or to bring about the changes in the laws or written mentioned in the constitution were made, and these changes, when they are brought in the constitution, this is known as constitutional amendment or amendment of constitution. So the amendments are divided into three categories. In the first category, amendments can be done by a single majority or simple majority of members which are present in the house and voting before sending the amendment for the president's assent or president's permission. In the second category, amendments required a special majority. Such amendments which are special and which requires a special majority, they can be passed by each house of the parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and by 2/3 majority of the members of the house which were present at the time when voting was to be done over the amendment, and then this amendment was sent to the president for his consent or permission. In the third category, the amendments are really difficult to pass. Besides the special majority mentioned in the second case, that is the 2/3 majority, the same 2/3 majority has to be approved by at least 50% of the state legislatures. Only then this third category of amendments can be implemented. Otherwise, it becomes null and void. The Indian Constitution, that is the world's longest written constitution, it starts with a preamble. The preamble is the short statement of the basic values present in the constitution. Some of these values are sovereignty. By sovereignty we mean that the people, they have supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters. No external power can come and influence our decisions or can dictate the government of India or the people of India. India was considered to be a socialist, that is, the wealth is generated by social means and it will be shared equally by society, and it is the work of the government to regulate the ownership of land and industry to overcome or reduce the socio-economic inequalities. Secular nature of India. Citizens, they were given complete freedom to enjoy any religion or to follow any religion. There was no state religion or official religion. That's why we get a national holiday. Even if we are Hindus, we get a national holiday on Christmas Day, and the Muslims, they get a national holiday on Diwali, and the Hindus, they get a national holiday on Ramzan or Eid. So this is the secular nature. India being a democratic, that is, the form of government which India is going to have will be totally democratic, in which the ruler will be elected by the common consent of people by means of general election, which are conducted after a definite term of 5 years. The leader of the elected parties or the head of the state will be an elected representative of the people. He cannot be a hierarchical higher to the throne, or the head of the state will not be a hereditary position. According to the constitution, justice is one of the important element. According to this element, the citizens, they cannot be discriminated on any grounds, and the governments, they have to work for the welfare of all, especially of the disadvantaged group or the marginalized groups. Liberty. By liberty, the constitution gives us right to protest against unreasonable restrictions. That means that there will be no unreasonable restrictions imposed on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. But now, with the growing corruption and involvement of criminal background people in field of politics, this liberty is at stake, and that's why the constitution was amended to overcome such situation. Equality is an important element considered in the constitution of India, and according to this, everyone will be treated before the law. Means everyone will be treated equally before the law, or everyone will get equal treatment before the law. In the eyes of law, everyone is equal to whatever social group he or she belongs. Then we have fraternity. Fraternity means the individuals, those individuals who claim themselves to be Indians, they are expected and they are supposed to behave as if they were members of the same family, that is, they were Indians. They were not Tamilians, they were not Bengalis, they were not South Indians, they were not North Indians, but they were all Indians. So the common people of India, that is the citizen of India, is expected to behave that they are members of the same family, and they should treat a fellow citizen as equal to them, otherwise it will be a punishable offense. That's all we have in this video. Thank you and have a nice day.